Greetings, gentlemen. It is I, Victor von Frankenstein, the Grateful MGTOW. Back again as promised with more content. Welcome. Let's get started. Well, I would just like to start out by welcoming Howard Dare back to the fray. I saw he posted a couple of videos over the weekend in the middle of the night. Woke up to a little surprise there. I was quite happy to see Howard back. It's great to hear the man's voice. I still listen to some of his old videos. Sad to hear that Hammerhand got flagged for the MGTOW movie. But knowing us gentlemen in this community, we have plenty of backups. But I want to talk about something, gentlemen, that something I just noticed. I mean, not like I just noticed it. Something that I've noticed for a very long time and wanted to discuss. Well, let's talk about the evolutionary simp. Now, many of us understand the terminology that we use in this community. And when we speak about simps and manginas and white knights, we're not necessarily using these as pejoratives. These are terms that are being used to explain, to define a man based on his actions. Now, the evolutionary simp, just within the terminologies that I'm choosing to use, should be self-explanatory to most. Now, if you look back to even the Dark Ages, medieval times, things like chivalry and gallantry and being a gentleman, well, these were the start to the evolutionary simp. And if you fast forward time and you look into the present day and even into the relatively recent past, 50 to 100 years, through the technological revolution, the invention of the radio, the television, smartphones, the internet, etc. And you listen to the music, and you watch the television shows, and you see the messages that are being put into people's minds en masse. It's not difficult to then understand why I would refer to them as the evolutionary simp. This type of forced evolution, this forced change upon men and masculinity, and not to mention femininity also. Inside of all of the music throughout my growing up, it's not difficult to understand and to see the message that men should all pretty much bow down and worship women. Whereas if you listen to the messages that women would put out there, it's this message of independence and that they don't need no man. You know, like a fish needs a bicycle. Apparently fucking fish need bicycles, gentlemen. But these evolutionary simps, and in the current climate, as we see the Pareto principles playing out, and we see the Mickey Mouse utopia coming to fruition, these types of behaviors are only going to become more pronounced. These men being raised by single mothers and being raised up in the gynocentric system, it's an unfortunate thing. So they were all brought up to believe some fantasy land bullshit that will never come true. They think they've got some princess out there waiting for them. I'll tell you what, she's a goddamn wicked witch of the West. But it's this type of indoctrination, this type of brainwashing that is trying to override the hardwiring nature of men and women alike. And while women think that they can be strong, independent idiots, when the rubber hits the road and society starts falling apart, we'll see just how independent they really are. But I would just say to you gentlemen out there, the gentlemen in this community, there's one thing that you have to understand. We are giants. And we are making a huge difference out in this community, out in the world in general. The message that we speak, I see the ripples. I see the repercussions. I see the reverberations out in the universe. And whether or not what we are doing as MGTOW, as monks, whether or not this is beneficial to society is beside the point. There are a lot of people that will argue that what we are doing by walking away from women and society in general will only cause the further decline of society. Well, that's too fucking bad. Because in reality, they have left men no choice. As I have said before, many times in many comments, as the extremes push further extremes, like the Buddhist monk that chooses to commit self-immolation, it is not that the Buddhist monk wishes to see the world burn, but only to see the world burn through his own eyes. And at some point in time, I will say to you, gentlemen, men are going to have to reach a breaking point. Men will have to seek that true red pill rage inside of themselves before there will ever be any kind of change. Men will have to get angry. And when that anger finally fills that cup, and that cup overfloweth, I would say to the entirety of the world, better buckle up. Because that day will come. That day of retribution. Men will only stand by so long and be stepped on. The days of gallantry and chivalry are over. And as the evolutionary simp has had his time, his rise, he will also see his fall. And it will be at the peril of his own choices. Just want to say again, welcome back, Howard Dare. Glad to see you back with us, brother. That was a fantastic rant. There's power behind that voice, power behind those words. Each of you gentlemen out there brings just a little something into this community. You are a voice and a force to reckon with. I hope this message finds you gentlemen well. I'll talk to you again real soon.